These new immersive games are more like gambling than they are games, because they make money by stealing your life one click at a time. Games were always casual. So you don't like old games because you're a curmudgeon who thinks gaming peaked in 2004 with Modern Warfare 2 and Fortnite requires Korean on Adderall levels of reflexes. It's because you caught the perfect moment in the evolution of game development where they left the arcades but still had the arcade spirit. Hi, I'm Ryan and you're watching SimCity 4. I'm building on a render of the island of Hong Kong because that's what I did when I played this game in the 2000s while I was in the military and needed to unwind, and now you get to watch it while I talk about these kids and their modern games. Seriously though, you're not a nostalgia geek. It really was a different philosophy, and when we lost that, games lost the fun. It all started in the 1980s. Games were finally a thing, and even if the Atari 2600 cost about $700 in today's money, all the Gen X guys remember sitting there with a console that had wood paneling like a station wagon while their shoebox full of games sat there waiting to be played. Back in my day, joysticks had one button and we darn well liked it that way. They were very blocky, so you had to use imagination. Then the video game industry collapsed because everybody made trash and no one cared, and the kids stopped buying them and everybody lost money. So, if you wanted to play real games, you had to go to an arcade. Arcades paid developers for their cabinets. They made money by throwing quarters into the machine. In a way, they were the one-armed bandits that everybody's baby boomer parents would spend your future on. Except, you were a kid, and you had to work a paper route to afford a roll of quarters to play, and once it was gone, you were done. Of course, there was a lot of games to choose from, so the incentives were perfect. The developers had to build games that were as hard as possible and as fun as possible. If they weren't hard, kids wouldn't throw in $10 every weekend to play them and the arcades would lose money. If they weren't fun, enough kids wouldn't want to play them and the arcades wouldn't buy them, so the developers lost money. It was a wonderful situation. Everybody wins. Then, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, TurboGrafx, and all those guys came out. Intel made the Pentium chip, and PC gaming could actually have something better looking than an Atari 2600. But all the developers were from the arcade era. So when the arcades were dying, the consoles and the PC was thriving. Developers still made games hard like they had in the 80s, but they still made them fun like they did in the 80s. And for a while, everything was good. After a while, corporate types realized that these things were worth billions of dollars again, so they started to fund more studios and made more games. I'd argue games like SimCity 4 came out right around that time. It was the peak of gaming. Developers who cared, and corporate types who didn't know how to milk it quite yet. And that's the problem. Business people are smart. They learned that the best way to make money isn't to make games cost $1,000, but to make them free or cheap and milk you slowly over time. Microtransactions are a thing now, subscriptions are a thing now, and the arcade has been replaced by the App Store. And when we returned to the one-armed bandit, we had one exception. Now everything is tied to credit, not quarters. Developers want you to spend money, and it turns out being addictive is more lucrative than being fun. So if you've ever wondered why AAA games aren't as fun as they used to be, it's not that you're getting older, it's that they're getting greedier. We have gone from arcades making money because developers make things hard and fun, to a land where consoles and computers make money and developers only knew how to make things hard and fun, to today, where companies make things addictive and squeeze you for every dollar they can. It's so bad now. Like, there's a story of how developers of the new Diablo game have patched it to slow down the load time so they can squeeze a few more seconds of playtime out of you to look good for investors. Like, loading screens used to be a barrier to games, and now they're the damn strategy? Like, come on, bro. They're peeing on you and telling you it's raining. So I won't spend an hour giving you examples because if I'm right, you kinda noticed this already. You'll go back and look at Red Dead Redemption Online, at Fortnite, Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, the third Modern Warfare 2 War Harder, and think about it from an addiction lens. Yeah, it kinda makes sense. Modern Warfare 2 was fun, and it took me about 2 years just to get all the golden guns just in time for the next Modern Warfare. Now, well, if you can pay $10 for 1,000 COD points to buy weapon upgrades for your $30 battle pass in order to unlock a golden MP5, but wait, It actually costs 1800 COD points, so you have to buy 2 of them. But then you have 200 left over, so if you buy another bundle, you aren't wasting them. Oh wait, but if you just spend 200 hours in-game grinding some mundane tasks, you can earn some loot crates so that you can call in sick to work on that day, then maybe you can... Like, dude, stop. You sound like a crackhead. Which is kind of the point. What could have been you teabagging somebody who just noob-tubed you with a golden AK-47 for added flex is now a part-time job to increase the shares in EA Games stock price. Nobody signed up for this. Now, like any normal person, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. A simpler time when games had a modding community and $50 went towards a game with 500 hours of replay time. It was fun and I didn't have to commit my firstborn to the damn thing. Of course, there's still games that stick to the mantra of entertaining and fun. We call them indie games. And of course, indie games have smaller staffs, less polish, and very few of them actually create the quality that we're used to expecting, so it's a trade-off. The AA experience without the AAA bully holding you upside down and shaking you till all the coins fall out. And the trick to building along the terrain is to use single tiles of roads to keep the terrain from moving. Then when you build a road next to it on the hill, it gets a big retaining wall. This means you can build houses on hills without terraforming it to look like it's flat. It's no golden AK-47 with NoobTube, but then again, I'm not teabagging you. And the population's up to 150,000 people. Not bad for a second stream in 4 hours of time. Come join me on the channel, we can enjoy it together. This is Ryan. Cheers.